Hello, everyone, and happy Valentine's Day. Yep, this is the Valentine's episode, months later. Listen, I got busy, and all my guests and panelists, some of them were busy, so I was like, you know what, we'll put this off, and we'll just front load all of May and June with so many drafts, you guys will be sick of them. But I'm not sick of drafts yet. It's been a while, so we're back with Draft Day, a show where we draft things, and today we're keeping it easy. We're drafting movie couples. This is like real relationships, so like, the fan fiction, like, oh, they're kind of a secret, hidden, subtle thing. Maybe some people will pick it, and maybe we can veto them. But we're picking movie ships in honor of Valentine's Day. The relationships, they don't have to necessarily stay together by the end of the movie. And we'll talk about that more once we get to the picks. But I have four panelists who you've all seen before in some way or another to help us out today. So starting it off, co-host of Picture This. You see him on almost every draft day. It is Mr. Chadwick Webb. How's it going, Chad?
It's going great, but I have something to confess.
Oh,
Dyl, I love you, man.
I love you too, bud.
We're not a couple right now, but you never know what happens after 2 hours. So
okay, I can't wait to see what happens. Friends to lovers, that's my favorite trope. We'll see, or maybe enemies, depending on which round you get over me and what you steal from me, because you're also a very good drafter. So moving on, we also have our previous belt holder of the Marvel trivia match. You've seen her on a bunch of draft days. She's mostly known for MCU stuff, but she's here to draft more than just MCU stuff, maybe some MCU stuff. We'll see. It is Stacy. How's it going, Stacy?
It's going good. This is the least prepared I've ever been for a draft.
Same. So that's okay. We're doing this together. You're going to be even less prepared for the next draft you're on too, which is going to be even funnier.
That one I can't. So
right. How's it going, Stacey?
It's good. How are you? I just got back from, well, not just, it was like a week ago that I got back from Orlando. I'm like still recovering from a week-long family theme park vacation. Just don't do that. It's too much.
Stacey and love of theme parks was undraftable because it's the clear number one. So we'll have to settle for the next best 25 picks that aren't Stacey and theme parks, because I know Stacey loves them. We also have someone who is a big fan of romance. We've seen her on a bunch of drafts, including the queer draft, the women's draft. It is Carly. How's it going, Carly?
It's going good. I'm moving next weekend right after your subathon, so that'll be a busy weekend. That'll be really fun.
Something we see in a lot of romance movies, moving forward in relationships. You're moving to a different location of living. That's awesome.
Maybe you have a meet cute.
Yeah, maybe that's where I find my other person.
Maybe.
A moving meet cute's always a good one.
And now someone who, when I brought this topic up, she said, I have to be on this. You haven't seen her a ton on this channel, but I see her a lot in real life because I live with her sometimes, depending on which house I'm in, whether I'm in Jersey or New York. But it is my sister, Nina Randazzo. How's it going, Nina?
Good. I'm really excited to be doing this draft.
Now, people don't know much about your favorite movies necessarily, but I know your favorite movie, and I know it's a very big romantic film. So I figured, why not extend the invite, and you jumped right on it. So I'm very happy to have you here, and all of you here. Nina, you've never actually drafted movies here. You drafted pet peeves, but never movies on this channel. So I'm very excited to hear, I guess we're not drafting movies here. We're drafting couples. But let's get into the rules. I don't have any rules typed out, but it's going to be simple. We're going to spin a wheel to determine a draft order. Then we will snake that order. So whoever goes fifth in the first round is going to go first in the second round, and so forth. You will have to draft movie couples. TV, there's so many to choose from, so we're going to make it its own draft next Valentine's Day. So we're drafting movie couples. Like I said, make them actual couples. If there's like a stretch, we can talk about it, but there are things as vetoes. And if someone vetoes a pick, you will need 3 people to veto. So you need basically a majority of the panel to veto in order to overturn a pick. So if you think, Chad, I don't think Shrek and Donkey were necessarily lusting after one another, then 3 people can agree to veto that pick, unless that is Chad's pick, and then he can defend it and we can talk about it. But I don't know if he actually picked it. Do we have any questions on just the eligibility of anything, or the topic, or should we get right into it?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Cool. So I have the wheel here with everyone's names, and I'm going to spin away. And, Stacey or Nina? Stacey or Nina? Nina, the sister. Okay. Are you gonna go, Nina? First, second, third, fourth, or fifth?
I would love to go first.
I figured. Okay, spinning again. Of course, I know she's ecstatic. All right. Oh, okay. I'm gonna put myself right in the middle. I'm gonna put third. I don't know if I ever do that, but I'm doing it today. Have I ever gone third? I don't know. Probably. I've probably done all of them at some point. Stacy, you're up. Would you like to go second, fourth, or fifth?
I don't know. I was going to go third because I really don't care. I don't know. I'll go fourth. I've never been fourth. I don't think.
Sweet.
Maybe I have.
One of y'all is going to get the second pick here, and one of you is going to get the back-to-backs. This is quite exciting. Carly, are you going to go second or fifth?
I'll go second. I like the number 2. So.
All right. I don't know if Carly's going to get her number 1 because I have a feeling I know what Nina's number 1 is going to be. But Nina, contrary to the NFL draft, there's no clock or anything, but I will say you are on the clock. So Nina, what would you like your number 1 movie couple to be? And I know you're going to break lots of hearts here. Just rip off the Band-Aid.
Yeah.
Well, I'm choosing my favorite movie, if you couldn't tell by my shirt. I'm picking Jack and Rose because I'm obsessed with Leonardo DiCaprio, in case anyone didn't know.
Show them the other prop you got in your room, the Christmas present I got you.
Dylan got me a Leo blanket.
Ooh.
Wow.
Very nice.
Oh my
Cool.
gosh.
So I'm
it froze a bit on the blanket, so it's perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, Titanic, it's one of the OG classic, best romances of all time. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's not much to say, but I know, Carly, you probably wanted this one, right, Carly?
Yeah.
It was on my list. It was not my number 1. But I mean, it's such a, oh my God, I just love it. I love it. Like the movie, I don't think the movie works if the romance doesn't work, and the romance works so well. It was pretty high on my list. I definitely would have picked it, but I probably wouldn't have picked it first, but it's amazing. I love their dynamic. It's so good.
Yeah. Any thoughts on Jack and Rose, Chad or Stacy?
Yeah.
Yes, Stacy?
I was obsessed with this movie when it came out. I saw it 3 times in the theater. I drove to Toronto, Canada, to go to a exhibition of like set pieces and costumes. Like all my inside jokes were Titanic related. So I had it pretty high on my list. I honestly still don't know what I was going to pick first. It might have been that. It's going to be a spur of the moment decision. But I figured if somebody else took it, that's fine, because as much as I love the movie and as much as like the romance does work as a couple, it's so short-lived that I always struggled with how high up on my list it would be.
Yeah, but she thinks about him forever. That's the thing. She's eternally at rest with him, So.
I know, which is kind of rude to the husband, but whatever. We never saw him.
Yeah, like we never hear, because Rose obviously has a husband because she has a daughter and a granddaughter. So it's like, so she just like goes to heaven and is like, yeah, nah, let me go back to my own thing. That's funny.
We didn't think about that until much later, so it's all good.
Chad, any thoughts?
Yeah, this was definitely very high on my list as well. I was thinking about if I would have been able to go first, I probably would have taken this as well, just because I know it's like very popular. But like my history with the movie is that I saw it like on my birthday after it came out, and it had been out for a long time after that. Yeah. So it's a special movie for me in that. But then also when they did the re-release, it's just like one that I was like, now this is cinema right here. So the movie I think is pretty damn flawless, but like that relationship had me in tears right at the very end of the movie. And it's short-lived, but it's one of those things where it's like you really feel like they were soulmates. And for that, a lot of my list is going to be, my picks are going to be like from the heart, like personal stuff. So that's why, because this one like really, I totally understand why it's like Nina's like favorite, because it really does touch you on such an emotional level, and I love it.
Cool. Nina, any last words on Jack and Rose? I'll give you the final word. Anything?
Yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, it's your favorite movie, and you should be able to get your favorite couple from your favorite movie.
When anybody says movie couple, they are the first 2 that come to my mind. The first thing that comes to my mind is Jack and Rose.
There you go. Never let go. All right, Carly, we're going to let you go and take your pick.
All right. So I am picking my couple from my favorite rom-com that I feel is underseen. It might just be under-talked about. But from Set It Up, I am picking Charlie and Harper.
Okay.
And I absolutely love these 2. Zoe Deutch. And Glenn Powell, they're so good in this. Like, I love their chemistry. I love Rivals, Two Friends to Lovers is my favorite like rom-com dynamic, and I really love like just how they set it up, like how they're trying to trick their bosses into getting together, and like it's cute because they're trying to get their bosses into romantic situations, so that puts them in romantic situations. Their banter is so cute, like the way they just kind of go off each other. Their get together scene where they're just like insulting each other for a minute and then they kiss is so sweet. Like I always throw this movie on when I just want to feel better and just laugh, and just I love them so much. So yeah, they were always going to be my favorite pick, even though I knew they probably wouldn't get snatched up too early, but I really love them.
Yeah, I actually haven't seen this movie since like it first debuted on Netflix, and I can't remember a lot of it, but I remember at the time not getting the Glenn Powell hype, but now that I'm on the hype train, I want to go back and actually see it through, because I feel like there was hype that I was just like, is this another like Hemsworth guy, and I was like, he's nothing, and now I'm like, no, he's got the juice, he's got the charisma, so I need to rewatch that, but that's a great personal pick, I love it. Nina, have you seen Set It Up or no?
No.
Chad, have you seen Set It Up?
Yeah, I actually watched it because like you recommended it back in February, and I never heard of it before, and then I threw it on. I was like pleasantly surprised. I totally get why Carly picked them, because like both of these actors are just like firing in all cylinders in that movie, and they're just both so funny. And like I remember seeing Glenn Powell, like I think for the first time in Top Gun Maverick. I didn't know who he was before then. Or he kind of seemed familiar, but I just wasn't sure who he was. And he was good in that, but then I was like, wow, he's on like a whole other level and Set It Up, where he's just like really, really funny and like you said, charming and everything. And yeah, I definitely want to see more of him and Zoe as well, because she's really, really funny in it, and I think they have really great chemistry in the movie. So great choice.
Cool. Stacy.
I've seen it. I forget it exists until Carly brings it up most of the time.
There you go.
I'm not a romance person. I'm sorry.
No, we'll have to set up a watch along sometime to watch it. Cool. Great pick. I'm happy you got that off the board. Moving on to number 3. My pick. Oh, this is tough. I really don't know which direction I want to go. If I want to go like classic, like just movie couples, or do I want to go like from more niche ones or more complicated, complex ones? I'm going to just go with who I think is like maybe one of the more iconic ones. It is maybe a chalk pick, but it's also very different. It's a very different dynamic than a lot of other romances, is because it's not really a romance film. It's more about centered around crime and action. I'm going Bonnie and Clyde. I feel like it's just one of those like very, classic movie couples that everyone thinks of. My mom named her cats Bonnie and Clyde until she realized they were both boys, so they became Buddy and Clyde. Nina, I don't know if you know that story. But yeah, Buddy and Clyde were named based on Bonnie and Clyde. But it's like the classic, like when you think of kind of like almost like I don't want to tip picks. Yeah, that's one other rule. We don't tip picks, but like there's another movie where like, the couple kind of hates each other but loves each other, and they kind of get off on how they hate each other. Like that's kind of what this is. It's definitely more of a toxic romance, but it's one of those iconic couples. I mean, they made a musical of it. It's very famous. It's kind of just that iconic kind of rough and rowdy couple. I don't know. The movie's just so good, and it's just so engaging, and I think their chemistry is great as well. Except for when they presented La La Land the Oscar accidentally. That was the one miss that they ever did as actors, but they weren't acting then. But as actors, Faye Dunaway and Warren Beatty are just so good. So Bonnie and Clyde, from the titular Bonnie and Clyde, a bit of a chalk pick, but one that like I think is just very iconic and kind of set the ground for a new type of couple that we don't see, because they're not polished. They are very rough around the edges, which I really appreciate. So.
I feel like every time you go to like a Halloween party, if you have like a couple who wants to be like really edgy, they're either like Joker and Harley Quinn, or they're Bonnie and Clyde.
Yeah.
Like, sorry if I tipped a pick there, but they're like a couple different.
I hope no one's picking Joker and Harley, but
yeah, I don't know.
I have nothing to say. I'm sorry.
No worries. Cool. Any other thoughts on Bonnie and Clyde?
I've actually never seen Bonnie and Clyde.
I
need to see it. That's a blind spot of mine. But.
Yeah, we got a marathon coming up soon. Set it up, Bonnie and Clyde. We're just gonna keep adding to the lineup. Cool. Then I'll move right along. Then Stacy, what's gonna be your first pick here?
Trying to think of which one Chad might steal, if either. Down to 2. I'm gonna go with the less obvious one and just cross my fingers. And my first pick is going to be what I think is one of the best suited couples in all of film, one of the healthiest relationships in film, and that is Gomez and Morticia Addams. Because what couple is more suited for each other than them? Like, they can't be with anybody else. If they hadn't found each other, they'd live long, lonely, miserable lives. But they did. They found each other and have their quirky, weird family that just loves the macabre, and it's wonderful, and I'm here for it.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's a great pick. I didn't even think of them for some reason. I really don't know why. But it's a great couple, great pick, great chemistry, like you mentioned, like they're meant for each other. And also just so memorable, just as their own characters too, which is important. You know, they're not just great as a couple; they are great individually too, which is
they
important.
still have passion.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Anyone thoughts on Gomez and Morticia?
When I was trying to come up with movie couples, I was like, I need some horror ones. And like this was a very obvious horror one, like maybe the best horror couple for the exact reason Stacy said, is that they still have the passion and the fire and love each other, even though they're both weird as hell, and you know, but they're weird together, and it's a great pick.
Yeah. Nina, any thoughts on Gomez and Morticia?
I didn't even think of them. That's a really good pick.
Cool. Carly?
Yeah, I also didn't think of them. That's a really fun pick. I love their dynamic, their chemistry, just the fact that they're like weird in the way they're together in like the best ways. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's funny because Nina and I actually grew up on the musical Addams Family, so that centers more around Wednesday's romance. So it's like one of those things where you're like, no, like the Gomez and Morticia, they're the OGs, you know, they're the foundation. You know, but because we can't pick that, but Wednesday and Lucas would be, if we were doing Broadway couples, would be one of mine. But let's move it along. Chad, you get 2 back-to-back. So what is going to be your first pick here in the first round?
Yeah, I was trying to think about like which one I wanted to do first. I think I'll go with the slightly more iconic one, and then I'll follow it up with the more classic one.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go with it's from one of my favorite movies. It's one of the best sequels of all time. It is Peter Parker and Mary Jane Watson from the Spider-Man series.
Nice.
Particularly,
specifically Toby and Kirsten, right?
Correct. Yes,
Okay.
Toby and Kirsten. I don't think anyone's done it better. And yeah, it's particularly from movie 1 and 2. Even though they're not like really a couple in one, but like, you know, it's building in one, and then it, you know, they become 1 and 2. And then I'll just kind of like throw 3 out, even though it's a movie. They're not a great couple in that movie. So
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah. But in 2, I love the fact that they both like make their own choices. They're both trying to do what they think is the right thing to do. Yeah. And then it's, you know, kind of MJ that comes out and like saves Peter, and it's just like, we deserve like a chance to be together, and to, you know, even if it's the wrong decision, you know, we should be able to make that decision together, and not, you know, you decide for me, and things like that. And it's a very like mature relationship, even though like it you know, kind of, I don't want to say falls apart in 3, but like, you know, takes a really big like rocky turn in 3. But like, I love the build of relationship in 1 to 2. I love how, you know, just the meetups, you know, right between their houses, taking out the trash, and, you know, him talking about seeing her in plays and crying like a baby when, you know, she played Cinderella and all that. And then, you know, it's just so beautiful, so romantic. It's like one of the most iconic kisses in a film of all time, upside kiss. And you know, yeah, I don't know, I love their chemistry together, and you know, I love Kirsten so much, and I think Toby is an amazing Spider-Man, and just them together, I just always root for them. So I love that couple.
Yeah, it's a great one. Carly, as the resident Andrew Garfield representative of the group, what are your thoughts on Toby and Kirsten's Peter Parker and MJ?
I think they're cute. A lot of 3 kind of ruins them for me, just because they're, you know, if you've seen 3, you know, their dynamic in that isn't the best. But I think they're really cute. Like Chad said, one of the most iconic kisses ever. Like when I think of Spider-Man, the first thing I think of is that upside down kiss because it's just like so iconic and ingrained in your mind. But yeah, I think it's really good. And you know, I could pick the other Peter's relationship. You never know.
And hey, if there wasn't that much love and passion, we wouldn't have seen him break into dance and woo her like you tried and show off. You know, we get that scene because of that. Nina, any thoughts on Peter and MJ? Is this your favorite iteration of Spider-Man, or are you more of a Andrew Garfield or Tom Holland stan?
Well, I didn't see the Tom Holland version.
Oh, cool. So you're an OG Toby then.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's
cool.
what's
Welcome
up.
to the club. Welcome to the club. Do you like this pick?
Are you asking me?
Anyone. Stacey,
I think it's a
yeah.
good pick. Yes, I like this pick. It wasn't necessarily on my list only because the third movie is rough. Their relationship is rough in that, and I was looking kind of at series as a whole. Because I asked Dylan and he said we didn't have to be movie specific, so I was kind of taking it as a whole. And I do really like the Tom and Zendaya dynamic also, and I would have had a hard time choosing, so I just left them off my list altogether. But I thought about it a lot, obviously.
Yeah.
So I think it's a really good pick.
Yeah, so just to be clear, he is getting the Raimi version of it because technically they are different multiverses, so they are different versions of it. Like they are existing characters separate, so like you can still draft if anyone wants to the Tom Holland Zendaya or the
Correct.
Andrew,
Yeah,
Andrew doesn't have an MJ. She was
I'm not taking the other ones. Yeah.
Poor Shailene Woodley was left on the cutting room floor. So, Chad, you're back around with another pick.
So I'm gonna go with another one that like I had to have, but I went and this I wanted Peter MJ as well, like a lot, but the other one I had to have, but since I have the back to back, was forced upon me. I'm gonna take advantage of it and take one that I think is maybe the greatest on-screen couple I've ever seen in a film. I mean, Dylan, I think you should probably know. No, you don't. Okay. Well, I've told you about this before. It's one.
Well, I don't want you to take what I'm going to take, which is why I'm making that face.
No, I'm not. I'm not because I don't think you like this movie as much as I do. But it is a classic, and it is like one of the greatest '80s films of all time. Yeah. So I'm taking Lloyd and Diane from Say Anything. Nice. This is it's easily one of my favorite like romantic comedy films. And I kind of anytime like I think about like a couple in film, like I love to point to that one because I think they set the standard kind of like because they both are on different paths, they come together and they help each other realize different things about themselves. They comfort each other, they are so supportive. They will kind of have like a thing where when they're getting hot and heavy in the car and he gets really like nervous, she throws on the Peter Gabriel song, and then later that comes back up in one of the most iconic scenes of all time, with him holding up the boombox like you were there for me, I'm now here for you, even though they were broken up at that time. And so you can see like that relationship was tested, and then they end up back together. And so like they've been tested through like rocky waters, and even her dad tries to like break them up, but there's a whole subplot with him, and they end up basically going to Europe together. And I love the end sequence of them on the plane, and she's afraid of getting on the plane, and then he's basically there holding her hand the whole time, and I'm just like, this is like an old couple just in the making, that's always there for each other. You don't know, it could happen with it's another, I don't want to tip a pick, but like another style movie where it ends where you don't know the fate of the people come, and Dylan knows what I'm talking about. But I feel like because you have the whole movie that led up to that at that point, that they're probably going to go the distance. And I don't know. This one I had to have. As soon as I was like, I'm drafting movie couples, that's the one. I went with the iconic one for like the poster, but then I feel like this one is like cementing like, you know, my my board is like freaking amazing right now. So these two I think are perfect, basically. So yeah, I'm excited. I hope I get my other ones, but we'll see.
Yeah, I had never seen Say Anything until like very recently, and I liked it. I think I was more invested in the father-daughter dynamic than I was the romance even. So I think I need to watch it again from the lens of, oh, this is a romantic film, because I knew it was, but like I was much more invested in the other elements of it. But I do think it's so good. I also like how there's really no meet cute. He's just like, yeah, you're pretty, and I want to date you. Like I call you dad. You know, there's really no meet cute, which I think is honestly something very interesting and different than you see in a lot of films. But yeah, has anyone else seen Say Anything? I want to talk about.
I mean, of course I have. I grew up in the 80s.
Yeah, I knew you had. What are your thoughts, Stacey?
No, it was actually one of my brother's favorite movies when I was younger, so I watched it quite a bit. And that image of him with the boombox is one of the most iconic rom-com images there is. I always liked it. I feel bad. I'm just going to keep saying this. I'm not a romance person. My list is might be a little weird. I don't know. We'll see. But so yeah, I mean, it was always a cute rom-com. It was never anything like that special to me, but it was never anything that if it was on, I didn't mind, you know?
Yeah. Carly or Nina, have you seen this one?
I haven't, but Chad's making me want to add it to my watch list. So
I'm sorry for any spoilers that I gave, but hopefully you won't remember by the time you watch it.
That's all right. All right, so we're going to be looking in Stacey's eyes for the next pick. Stacey, what is going to be your?
Changed my mind like 15 times while Chad talked. Okay, so there is one straight romance movie that I do adore. Yep. It's a musical. You guys know what it is.
Yep.
I don't know if I do.
No? You do.
You said musical and you threw me off because I thought you were talking about maybe a film behind me somewhere.
We all watched it together.
That's one of the ones I was debating on when I was trying to decide.
Oh, I got it. Okay. Yep.
So anyway, my pick is Christian and Celine from Moulin Rouge. And the tipping factor was the fact that I literally fall in love with Ewan McGregor every time I watch this movie. Every single time. I could watch it back to back. I'd fall in love again and again. We have a mistaken identity at one point. We definitely have like not quite Romeo and Juliet odds, but you know, there's a lot working against this relationship, and yet they try to stay apart. That doesn't work out. And the songs, I love it. Give me Ewan McGregor singing everything, and my heart just melts. Yeah, I don't know. I love them. I love the movie. I love the music, and I love a tragedy, I guess. I'm not big on happy endings, maybe. I don't know. But we certainly get that. This movie does not end happy.
Yeah. I know. I love this pick. I didn't even think of this one either. You guys have most of your picks I haven't even thought of because I'm not good. I put this list together pretty last minute. But
I looked at my DVD collection.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, because there's couples in every movie almost. Like,
right.
Very rarely will you find a movie that doesn't have a couple. Now, whether it's an iconic one, who knows? This definitely is. Nina, I know you've seen the musical, right? Is the musical? Do you like them in the musical? Satine and Christian Moulin Rouge?
Well, I said Celine. I'm an idiot.
Satine, yeah.
Yeah, it's Satine.
Don't say Celine because she might be coming back.
No, you're correct.
I saw Ashley Lauren and Aaron Tveit, and I mean, if I saw the movie, I would have put them on my list because I did think of them, but I didn't see the movie. I saw the Broadway show version. Right. But they are a great couple, and the music is amazing, and they're one of my favorite Broadway couples for sure.
Yeah, it's beautiful stuff. Carly, any thoughts on Satine, Celine, whatever?
It's Satine. No, it's Satine. Just say that. I said it wrong. It's fine. I admit my mistake.
Yeah, I've only seen this once, and when I did, it was in a watch-along setting, and I fell asleep halfway through. So I definitely want to rewatch it, but I do remember liking the parts that I was awake for. So,
Chad,
what a glowing recommendation.
This movie was challenging for me watching it the first time in the watch-along. And then having to go back and watch it for Picture This, I definitely have grown more of appreciation for it, even though there's still parts that I don't really like all that much. But I really do like the musical a lot. think, yeah, Stacy's the one that brought up the fact that it does kind of have like a little bit of a bitter ending. And I wanted to mention the fact that apparently in Buffy, which some of us are Buffy fans, Willow Rosenberg always stops it at a certain part so that it has a happy ending. So I wanted to mention that. But yeah, the couple particularly, I think, is really great. I do think it is like one of those tragic romances that is fighting to exist. And I love Christian's passion for it. That is the part that makes me want to really like the movie quite a bit. I do think the best parts are when Ewan is singing, you know, because he just like has just that voice and presence, you know, and he really belts it. And, you know, I think those are the best parts. And I love his passion, enthusiasm, and his like pure love. Like, you don't really see that too much, you know, but he's not one that's going to like necessarily be like pushy about it, but then, you know, certain times it comes out and you're like, oh shit, okay, he's going for it. And you know, yeah, it does really suck that as a tragic ending, but I do think it is a really, really great couple that you root for big time.
Cool. Alrighty, moving on. Stacy kind of tipped my pick here accidentally, but this is my favorite trilogy, favorite trilogy of all time, and it centers around a couple that meets on a train, and then 9 years later we see them when they reconnect for the first time, and then 9 years after that we see them when they're married with kids. So before trilogy, I'm picking Celine and Jesse, played by Julie Delpy and Ethan. I almost said Ethan Hunt. That's impossible. Ethan Hawke. Celine and Jesse. It's just one of the great romances because you do get to see them over the course of 3 movies, but actual time has passed between the filming of the movie, so you see the actors change as well with them. It feels like one of the most raw, authentic, you know, acting performances because of that too. Because this couple is not a real couple in real life, but they do have baggage and chemistry and all these years of friendship too to like aid in their performance, which I think is great. It's not just like, oh, you're gonna go on set for a few months, film a movie, and go home. It's no, you're literally living with these characters for 27 years, which I think is really amazing. And Nina, I know you haven't seen these movies, but we're gonna watch them someday because they're amazing. But it is just my favorite trilogy. I love it so much. I cherish it. I've talked so much about this trilogy everywhere, so I'm gonna end it there. But any thoughts on Jesse and Celine?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. I'll go. There was enough of a pause. Yeah, Linklater loves to do stuff like that, and I love it. I love his experiments. I do think it's a really, really great trilogy. I don't love the entire trilogy as much as Dylan does, but I probably also haven't seen it as many times as he has. But I absolutely love Before Sunrise, the first one. So I think I could get there because I do think that's one of the greatest like coming of age movies, romance movies. And it's just them walking around a European city. Which city is it, Dylan?
Vienna is the first one, Austria.
It's just them walking around Vienna for a while. Like they meet on a train, they're just walking around, and you get to see the relationship develop. And then by the end of it, you know, I guess spoilers, you know, he's got to go back home, or they both got to go back home basically, and they just don't want to part. And it's one of those where you know, if you've ever like spent time with someone for like, you know, not that long, but long enough to where, you know, you don't want to not talk to them for a while. And then, you know, so you kind of get a little bit of dread and anxiety, like, or at least I do. And I'm like, no, like, I don't want them to leave each other. They just met. So I really, just whatever they do in that movie just really gets to me, and I absolutely love to just watch them walk around and talk to each other, and it just feels like really great, like young love, and that's what Jack and Rose was to me as well. It's just this really like young love, and I just, you know, I love to see that in film. So great pick.
Yeah,
it was on my list too, actually.
Any thoughts, Stacey or Carly?
I've only actually seen the first movie once when it was new, so I don't really remember it because that was a long time ago. I knew someone would probably pick it, and I almost rewatched the first one and tried to watch them, but like I said, I didn't really prepare well, so that didn't happen. But I mean, they're an iconic it's an iconic trilogy when people talk about romance in general. I will say that. Like, obviously, like I said, I figured somebody would pick them. So it's probably a good pick.
Thank you. I'll take it. Carly, any thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's a really great trilogy. Like I love their conversations, like how you're like learning who they are as people as they fall in love with each other. I love the time jumps from each movie. I think that's really cool. Like Before Midnight's actually my favorite of after my first watch. I do want to rewatch them to see if I feel differently on rewatch because I like it, but I don't like love it. And I think on rewatch I might appreciate it even more. But I think that's a great pick. I was pretty sure that was going to be somewhere in your list, Dylan.
Thank you. Well, Carly, you are up next, so you get to pick one for yourself now.
Okay. Well, I was going to save this for later, but it kind of bounces well off of Chad's pick. So I'm picking Peter and Gwen from the Amazing Spider-Man movies.
Okay, interesting. We got rivaling Peter Parkers. Okay.
Because when I was looking at lists, I was looking at movies and I saw one movie that starred Andrew Garfield, and I was like, I'm not picking that one, but I can pick the Amazing Spider-Man films because I'm one of those weirdos that he's my Peter Parker. Andrew Garfield's my Peter, and I love him. Even despite the second movie not being very good at all, I think Peter and Gwen's relationship I think that's the best part of the sequel. They're pretty much the only thing I like about the sequel, other than just getting to see Andrew Garfield in general. But I think they're really sweet. Like, I think they're really adorable. They really bounce off each other really well. Their chemistry is fantastic. And I kind of like how depressing their ending is. Like, just the way he can't save her and the way she dies. It's like so incredibly sad.
Yeah.
And I really like how, I didn't want her to die, but like I kind of like how they really went there, because I feel like in big blockbusters you don't usually see it happen like that after 2 movies. Like, if you're going to kill the love interest, you probably do it in the first one. And I think their dynamic is really good. Like, they're just so sweet and just so innocent. And like both of them just act the hell out of the relationship. And oh my gosh, she looks so hot when she's blonde. Like, oh my gosh.
Well, and it's worth noting they were dating when they made it, so it's like there's that added chemistry. It's like you don't have to teach it, you don't have to get it out of them, because it's natural, and they still have that natural chemistry even though they're not together anymore. She kind of has chemistry with everyone she meets and breathes and lives with, because she's just amazing. But and him too. They're literally 2 of the most charismatic. They got the Riz, and then they pair them up together while they're dating. Like, that's a match made in heaven, quite literally. Cool. Any other thoughts on? I mean, Chad, I'm going to go over to you now. Like, what are your thoughts now, having been the other Peter Parker drafter? What do you feel about this pick?
I mean, obviously, I have my favorite, but honestly, I don't think if you pick any of the Peters and their significant other, I don't think you're picking something wrong there. I think each one is great in its own way. And they've all, I think, pretty much been mentioned now. So we'll see if someone picks the third one.
Yeah, I'm going to pick Peter and Ned next. So,
but yeah, no, it's definitely a great pick, because I agree. I actually think I like the second one more than the first one of the Amazings.
Me too.
Okay. And I do think it is a lot because of the relationship stuff between Peter and Gwen, and the real relationship kind of factors in. Sometimes when that happens, a real life couple acting on screen, there's obviously going to be chemistry there. And I think it really does work. So yeah, it makes total sense. And I love that everybody has their own Peter. Their favorite Peter.
Stacy, any thoughts on this couple?
No, just they are the best part of those movies. Their chemistry is amazing. Like Carly said, that they went for it at the end of 2 with her death was shocking and amazing, and gave us that incredible moment in the MCU Spider-Man 3 that like just brings me to tears every time.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I think it's a good pick.
Cool.
Unlike Chad, I think you can't go wrong with a Peter Parker pick.
Right. He's just got that Riz, no matter who's playing him. Just take a shot every time I say Riz. All right, Nina, you get back-to-back picks here. Let's see, because I have one I want to take next, and I'm worried you might pick from me, so we'll see. What's your next pick?
I'm really debating which one to pick next because, okay, I'm between two, but I'll just pick them back to back. But I think this one's just more iconic. And when I think of movie couples, I mean, my head goes kind of right to Disney couples.
Oh, no.
I have a feeling this is on your list, but it's just so iconic. And every time I see, this couple in the movie, I cry no matter what. It's just so heartwarming, and they're just adorable. And I have to pick Ellie and Carl from Up.
Oh, that's a very sweet one. Not where I was gonna go, so I'm glad you went. But that's
really? That's totally where I thought she was going.
Oh well, I love it. Talk about it, Nina.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like, I know we only see them for a little bit, but when I think of Disney couples specifically, I think of them just because they're so, I guess, they're just adorable. Like, I'll cry every time I watch them, and their relationship, you can tell they just love each other, and it's just a great, start to the movie.
Yeah, and it lasts throughout the movie. It's kind of like the thing with I forget. Oh, Jack and Rose, where it's like, yeah, like it's short-lived, and it's not short-lived. Like they go through a whole life together, but the rest of the movie, it's still all about her, even though she's not around. It's all him thinking of her and him loving her, and the house is literally her. Kind of like how in Jack and Rose's case, like Jack's dead, but she spends her whole adult life thinking about him. It's like one of those things where her heart will not go on, I guess. Yeah, it's a great pick. Anyone, Carl and Ellie? I was just worried because I have a Disney couple up next, and I didn't want you to take it, and you still might because you get a back-to-back couple. I didn't even think of Carl and Ellie. That's a great pick. So good.
They're on my list.
Mm-hmm.
I love that we get all the romance in a montage. I think every couple is perfect in a montage, so you can't go wrong that way. But yeah, you can tell. Like, I mean, who doesn't cry at the beginning of Up? And for you to cry over a couple from a montage and nothing else, it just shows you how powerful it is and how much they convey the love there. So I think that is a great pick. And it's the first one that was on my list, actually, besides her other one.
Yes. There you go. Nina's reading Stacy's brain. Any other thoughts, Chad, on Carl?
Yeah, I talked about Lloyd and Diane. You could see growing old together, kind of a deal. But they literally do in Up. It's just in the beginning. And yes, of course, I cry at the end of that sequence. But then I cry even harder later in the movie when he sees that note from her. Thank you for the adventure. Now go have a new one. Crushes me every single time. And, it's just one of those things to where the movie's just kind of like showing you that life may not go the way that you planned it, but you live in the moment because that's still going to stick with you. Like the times that you do have with someone is just so special, and you really felt the love between them, and that's such a great pick. And I totally thought about it before, but I ended up not throwing it on my list. Although if my list was like kind of slim pickings, then I probably would have brought that up because it's such a great pick.
Yeah, Carly.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's already said it all pretty much. Like they're so sweet, and I love the montage, and just it made everyone cry. Like and I think some people probably feel like they like Up more than they do, just because that montage elevates it like such a strong start to the film that. Like I know I'm a little bit lower and Up on rewatches just because the first time I saw it, that beginning montage just makes just elevates it to such a big degree. So
yeah, good point. All right, Nina, you get another one, and if it's another Disney one, I might cry. It might be.
Not a Disney one.
Oh. Okay.
This is so to make this more uplifting now. I'll switch gears and go kind of the comedy route. This is one of my favorite movie couples of all time. It's also one of my favorite movies of all time. I rewatch it. I've watched this probably 10 times through. But it's Buddy and Jovi from Elf.
Oh my God. Why did I not put them on my list? That's perfect.
I think it's just so funny the way they meet and that awkward interaction and
In the bathroom.
yeah, and it's just one of those iconic couples and iconic scenes too. Like that shower scene just gets me every time. It's hilarious. And yeah, I love them. I don't know what it is about them, but it's just hilarious, and I love them throughout the movie.
Yeah. She really brings the like more human side of him out, because like she's the one who kind of makes him more of a man in a good way, not like you got to toughen up, but just more like, oh, like this is how you dress nice, in the world,
She changes him completely. Yeah.
Yeah, in a good way. Yeah, Chad, I know you were agonizing over forgetting to put this on your list, but what are your thoughts, Mr.
Yeah. Yeah, Nina brought it up, and I'm like, oh my god, that should have been high up on my list. And I didn't even consider. Like, I was throwing together like a bunch of couples, that I loved, and this is definitely one of them. Because, like you said, like she brings out a lot of stuff in him, and then him with her. Like she loves like his quirks and how weird he is, and they have one of the like cutest dates I've ever seen in a movie, just running around New York City, and he barely knows what the hell he's doing, but she thinks it's adorable. And then he helps her because she's too shy to sing in public, but she's great at it. And it's like he helps her realize that it's not that bad to sing out in public, and you might have a good time doing it. And without her, he doesn't become the elf at the end. Who's truly meant to be. And such a perfect movie, such a perfect couple. Great pick.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on Buddy and Jovi? I know, Stacey, you drafted Buddy in our Christmas characters draft.
I did, and I thought a lot about putting them on my list, but I tried to avoid anything I've already talked about movie-wise. So that is the absolutely only reason, because they are really one of my favorite movie couples. They're so adorable. I love how accepting she is of him. And they're just the heart, like that. They just make your heart happy, like the way they are. And that date, like Chad said, it's like one of the cutest dates ever in a movie. And yeah, no, they're fantastic.
Yeah. Carly?
I've never seen Elf, so.
Oh, really? How did I not know this?
She's not a Christmas person.
Right?
But I feel like really never. Oh, wow.
I've seen bits and pieces of it, but I've never seen.
Okay, well, we're doing a Christmas watch along with Elf now, obviously.
I'm more.
That's why we didn't know, because she didn't want it forced upon her. Like she knew it would be.
Okay, cool. Well, you gotta watch that. I'm adding a big list here. Set it up, Bonnie, Clyde, Elf, Hidden Gems, Elf. All right, Carly. What is gonna be your next pick? I assume it won't be something Christmas related.
No. Okay. So I am a big DC girl, so I figured I should pick one of the best DC couples, Selena and Bruce. Okay. The movie I'm picking them for is The Batman, because I absolutely love that film.
So Pattinson, Kravitz.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Because I like their dynamic in The Batman more than I do in. There's a little Batman guy. So part of me is picking them for this movie, but mostly I'm picking them just because I love their dynamic as a couple, like both in the comics, in movies, in TV shows. Like their dynamic is just so much fun. Like I love how they kind of see eye to eye, but just barely not enough for them to really make it work. And they're so sexy together. Like, oh my gosh, them vigilanteing together is like so great in the movie. They're both so hot. Like, oh my gosh, Zoe Kravitz is one of my favorite Catwoman ever. Like, she's so good. I love the push and pull of their relationship and their dynamic. Like, they both believe in doing good, but they kind of disagree on what that looks like. And I just think they're really great. Like, I absolutely love them, and I really hope we see more of them in the next Batman.
Yeah. The Bat and the Cat. Anyone have thoughts? I love it. I haven't seen that movie more than once. I really need to give that specific version a rewatch. But yeah, it's just one of those great like comic book pairs, like Catwoman and Batman. Sometimes they're rivals, sometimes they're lovers, sometimes it's somewhere in between, and both and all. So yeah, great pick. Anyone Catwoman, Batman?
Yeah, no, I love the pick. I strongly considered it, but I never really, I was like, do they really ever reach being a couple? They're more like a situationship most of the time. Like, I don't know. Just like, I don't know if they're ever really quite a couple,
FWB. Yeah.
but I do love them. And I love, like you said, I love their dynamic. And I love that it's always kind of gray. Like that's part of what makes them great is that they're always kind of in this gray area of you don't really know which way are they going to kiss or are they going to fight? Like you're not sure. So, and they're probably not sure. But yeah, Catwoman is one of my favorite DC characters, period. And great pick, Carly.
Cool. Anyone else?
I mean, I'm just kind of on the same kind of page as Stacy, where I didn't like consider them really a couple myself, but I can totally see it too. If you ship them together, and they do have some scenes, I think, where they're coupling a little bit. So yeah, and like Carly said, they're great together, and it's a great movie. So yeah, it's a good pick.
Cool. So Nina, when she was picking her Disney pick, I was worried I was going to lose this one, but I'm happy I got it. I'm shocked you didn't pick it, Nina, because everyone knows I love Up so much. They're probably surprised I didn't pick this, and because I know you love this Disney princess so much, I'm surprised you didn't take this one. I'm picking Rapunzel and Flynn Rider from Twilight. It is. Listen, of all the Disney romances, I feel like sometimes it's always lopsided where it's like the princess's story and like there is a prince in it. Or it's, if in the case of maybe another movie, there's a prince's story and he has a love interest. Here, I feel like it's so evenly split. It's evenly her story and his story. He brings out the best in her. She brings out the best of him. She's sheltered. He busts her out of there. He is a rough and tough, or puts on this facade of being rough and tough. She breaks down that facade and lets him see himself for who he is. It is the perfect balance of a relationship. And the fact that at the end he cuts off that blonde hair is such an important statement that it is not about how she looks. It is not about who he knows her as on the outside. It's who he cares about on the inside. And that's why he doesn't care if she has a short haircut. He didn't bother cutting it at a perfect length to make it look good. He picked the worst haircut for her, but it doesn't matter because he loves her inside and he loves her for who she is. That whole last scene where he dies and then she brings him back to life and he cuts off the hair, like all that is just so good. It is just one of the great, I think, Disney romances, because there are so many there are so many good Disney ones you could pick, humans and animals alike, and I think this is one that is just so well written, so good. The chemistry between actors is so good. I really don't like him, but he's great in this. Zachary Levi does a great job, and I think obviously Mandy Moore, I love her and everything, and I'm so glad she's this role. When they sing "I See the Light on the River" together, I weep like a little baby, and that's what I thought Nina was going when she says she cries every time she thinks of it, because every time I think of them, I cry because of that scene. Nina, I know you love them. Were you going to pick them? Were they going to be on your list if it had gone around?
Yeah, they were definitely my next or last pick, because it's my favorite Disney movie ever. And Rapunzel's my favorite princess, and Flynn's my favorite prince.
We're like this, Nina. I swear, we're like this.
And I also was going to talk, if I did pick them, I was going to talk about I See the Light, just because it is one of the most iconic Disney moments ever. And, their chemistry is beautiful, and the songs are amazing, and anything between them is so great.
Yeah. And yeah, the visuals in that scene too, just like personify the harmony of the scene with the harmony of the song. I don't know. It's just a beautiful movie. I could go on and on. Stacey, you said you see eye to eye with Nina with this. Is this one of your favorites? If not your favorite?
Yeah, Rapunzel is my favorite Disney princess of my adulthood. Had a different one as a child because she did not exist yet. But this was on my list. I don't have a ton of Disney on my list. They are the first couple I really think of. Even though it's not my favorite Disney movie, and my favorite Disney movie does have a couple of its own, they're not what I think of when I think of that movie, which I won't say just in case somebody picks it. But I love how they meet. They don't meet because she's like fawning over him or he's trying to get something from her. Like they meet coincidentally. The whole time it's a constant give and take of them bailing each other out of situations. It's never like she's not just the damsel in distress that he has to save the whole time. And like you said, when he cuts off her hair, it's not only that he's not focused on how she looks, but he's also not focused on the magic. Like, like that's a big thing for him, is letting go of that magic from, who we've seen as a character that whole time. So yeah, no, I just think they are one of the best Disney couples, one of the best representation of love in a Disney movie, of a very, like you said, a very balanced, healthy relationship.
Yeah, so good. Anything, Carly? Any thoughts on Flynn and
Yeah,
Rapunzel?
you actually made it much easier for me because I was between three that I really liked, and Tangled was one of them. So, but yeah, they're so sweet. I love how it starts with her whacking him with a frying pan, and it ends like in the exact same location, with him like dying in her arms and just saying how she was his new dream. Like that part
Ah,
always gets to me. It's so
sorry, I want to go watch this. I'll be back in 2 hours.
they're just so sweet. I absolutely love their dynamic. And like I was thinking through a few couples. There's a few that I like, but like Flynn and Rapunzel are like, I think they're top tier. They're so good. I absolutely love them.
And like they kind of have chemistry, even though they're animated, which is weird, but true. Like
I have
somehow
my
they
headphones
still
out. What did you
manage.
say?
I said
Chemistry
they
what?
still somehow manage to have chemistry, even though they're animated, which is like
Right.
amazing.
Right.
I don't know how that happens, but it does.
Yeah. Chad, any thoughts on Flynn Eugene and Rapunzel? I've been misnaming him this whole time.
Yeah, I don't have too many thoughts. I mean, you guys have said like everything pretty much. I've never really been that high on Tangled myself. I came into it kind of later, and then I thought it was really funny, really good, but it's not. I never considered it like top tier Disney, but I probably just need to rewatch it again. And I might get there with the film and the couple itself, but I just still think it's a great pick for everything, all the reasons you guys have said.
Cool. All right, Stacy, you're up.
All right. I'm gonna keep pushing off my classic pick, which I might not even pick in the end. And I'm gonna go with one that's all heart, and that is Rick and Evelyn from The Mummy.
Oh,
From the series. I love them. I love that they start in a like they need each other, but they're opposites and they don't necessarily see eye to eye a lot on things. And obviously they get together by the end of that first movie. And then in the sequels, they're married with a child, which doesn't often happen a lot in like action-y horror type franchises.
Mm-hmm.
And their relationship is never the source of the conflict. Like their relationship is always good. They're always tight in, working together. And I love that. I love that it's always outside of them that is the problem. So I just think that they have a really great dynamic. And she's the scholar and he's the adventurer, and they just fit so perfectly together once they figure out how to get along.
Yeah.
And they have great chemistry. Everyone in that movie has great chemistry. Like the walls have great chemistry in that movie.
Yeah, I have a confession to make. I've seen this, but it was so long ago I could not recall anything from it enough to like talk about it. But I did. Nina, I don't know if you remember this. In summer of 2008, I think it was between Kung Fu Panda and Mummy 3, Dragon, whatever, Emperor, I forget. And we all decided to go see the Mummy 3, and I remember just hating it so much that I never wanted to watch the other. And I was like, and then we finally saw Kung Fu Panda weeks later. I was like, why did we ever choose the Mummy? I want to fact check that because I do believe they came out around the same time. But I remember we were in Florida, and we just had a day to spare, and we were like, let's go see a movie. And then we saw Mummy 3, and I was like, why? Who okayed this?
Did you ride the Mummy? Is that why? Is the Mummy?
No, I've never been on it because I've always been too scared. I've been too scared.
That's a great ride.
I
don't like any horror rides. I don't do. I'm just too scared. Except for the Haunted Mansion, which is not actually that scary. But like Tower of Terror, nope. Not because of the drops, because I don't do the theme.
Well, I will say that the third movie is not a good representation of the series, but they're still good as a couple in it.
August 2008. So this is probably for your birthday, even. We wasted our time watching that. I don't even know if you were with us. It might have been just me and Jake, but yeah. I need to watch this again. Carly or Chad, have you seen this one?
The Mummy, yeah, of course. Well, I mean, I know a lot of people really, really love. I don't know about the series as a whole, but that first movie especially. The first one I ever saw was actually the second one in the theater, and I was also very scared. But yeah, I do like the movies. I don't have like a grand love for them that I know a lot of people do, like Stacy. But I do think the Rachel Weisz and Brendan Fraser have a really great chemistry in the movie, and it's just one of those like really fun adventure movies that you don't really see anymore. So yeah, I think it's a great pick because it's a really fun one, and I don't like not a lot of ours have been like that, like adventure where they're we may see some others come up, because it kind of harkens back onto some other movies from decades before it.
Mm-hmm. Carly.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen it. I don't remember it much, but Rachel Weisz is hot, Brendan Fraser's hot, and like they kiss. So I mean, it's a great pick. So
yeah, I just you really need to watch these movies
Yeah.
because I just can't tell much about it. But all right, Chad, you got back to back. Stacey, that was a great pick. Chad, back to back. What do you got?
Okay, so all right, so I'm gonna go with a tragic one. But it's definitely one that it's a romance that is tragic, but towards the end of the movie, it like makes me like want to cry like more than like I ever have. And I'm gonna go with Jack Twist and Ines Del Mar from Brokeback Mountain.
Good one.
Yeah, I feel like this was a great like middle pick, kind of like a focal, because I don't know. It's one where the romance like lingers throughout, but because of where they live, that type of relationship is not one that's going to be accepted, and of course they have to suppress it except for when they're alone together on Brokeback Mountain. And, after that, when they go back to their home lives, they secretly always want to be together. And then it ends in like legit tragedy. And then, when you get one of the final scenes of Heath Ledger smelling the clothing, I know it. See, exactly.
Jack, I swear. Yeah. Oh.
It's one of those moments where I can't
right now.
handle it. Exactly. So, I don't know. I was looking through lists and I was like, you know what? I have to throw that one on my list, and I'm glad that I get to pick it because it's definitely one that gets to me. Yeah, I love it.
It's great. I mean, I wouldn't know how to quit that pick. That is a great pick, and it's cool because we haven't had any gay couples on the list yet, so this is a cool first representation there. Maybe of many more, we'll see. Yeah, just such a crushing romance. Really sad movie. If you haven't seen it, you might not want to because it's so depressing, but it's also a great film. So, even more depressing since Heath Ledger died. Like it was depressing then, it's even more depressing now. Arguably, when you keep in mind that Michelle Williams and Heath Ledger were actually married in real life, like it makes it even.
You guys trying to make me cry on draft day? Are you like actively trying to make
Nina,
me
you
cry?
want to talk about the opening him up again? Make Stacy cry again? Nina, have you seen Brokeback Mountain or no?
No.
Oh, you're in for quite a cry when you do. Carly, you're a gay representative here. Talk about Brokeback Mountain.
Yeah, let's go right to the gay one.
Sorry, I can wait till the end if you want to save your thoughts. But.
No, it's fine. I actually, this isn't my favorite film, but God, just like hit you like a brick when you're watching it because it's so sad. I do think it's great that we get some queer representation on the draft day because I realize I've talked about a lot of gay couples before, so I haven't been drafting as many today. But yeah, I think it's a really important movie to watch. I think it's like I feel like it really made a difference. Like I think it opened some people's eyes about queer stuff and that type of thing. And it's a hard movie to watch, but I think it's really important. So I really like that Chad put that on his list. I think it's a really good pick.
Yeah, this could have been a number one overall, and I wouldn't have thought differently. Like it's such a good pick. Stacy?
Yeah, so I refused to vote for the gay draft because nobody picked Brokeback Mountain on their list, so I wouldn't vote for anyone. I love this movie. I love these characters. It breaks my heart, and it was on my list, and I'm glad Chad picked it. I'm really picking spur of the moment, so I can't say whether or not I would have picked it. But I'm glad we get to talk about it because I think it's always worth talking about.
Absolutely.
And it is so heartbreaking. Yeah. And they're so good in it. Everybody is so freaking good in this movie, man. Like, you believe it. Like, Heath and Jake aren't gay, but you believe that they really love and want each other bad. Like, I mean, I believed it anyway.
Yeah.
Was
that? Never mind. I'm starting. I was almost gonna go into Taylor Swift talk and ask if that was around the same time.
No, it was pre-Taylor Swift.
Pre-Taylor, yeah.
It's like before. I don't even know who Taylor Swift was then.
Yeah, because there's something about the scarf or the red scarf and the shirt and Brokeback. I don't know if there was any parallel there. All right, Chad, you got another pick here. What are you gonna pick as your next pick here?
Yeah, this is weird. This is one that I kind of threw on last minute, and I was like, is this should I do this one? And then I rewatched. So I went to Italy recently. And I rewatched this movie on the plane, and I was like, this movie is amazing. It's so funny. It's so fun. And I loved it when I saw it in the theater. And then when I rewatched on the plane, I was like, this movie rules, dude. I love it so much. It's a couple from Game Night. It's Max and Annie. So you have
is that Rachel McAdams and Jason Bateman?
Yes. Okay. I don't know. I was just like, thinking about couples, and I was like, this couple is really fun. I love that their big thing is they just love to play game nights together with all their friends and stuff, and then they have the one guy they don't want to be there, and they'll lie with each other to stop him from coming, and then they just have a lot of fun together, especially when they think that they're playing a game, but they're really not, or are they? It's a really fun movie. Like I said, it kind of makes you guess what the hell's going on the whole time. But I love how they're having so much fun even when they're in dangerous situations, and they end up helping each other. And there's this one moment where Jason Bateman has a bullet lodged somewhere. I think it's his arm or his leg, and she's trying to cut it out and stuff like that, and it's bleeding a lot, and I don't know, it's just their chemistry together with that, and everything else throughout the movie I think is really, really good. So this is one that I wasn't thinking about before when I made my list before, but today I was re-looking over stuff, and then I thought about this, and I was like, this is a great couple. And it's if I think about a relationship I want to be in, it'd be with someone that just wants to play games with me all the time. So
is their meet cute playing games? I can't remember what their meet cute is. Do you remember? Their wedding they play DDR at their wedding.
Oh, is it flashback?
Yeah, I don't remember. I think they meet in college or something, but I don't really remember if they show the meet cute.
Yeah, actually. Maybe not. Maybe it's their wedding that I'm thinking of. But it's their whole life revolves around games, which is so fun.
Yeah,
it gives them a nice niche. But yeah, very fun couple. I'm surprised this is the first Rachel McAdams mentioned so far. We might get more, but she deserves to be on this list because she just has so much chemistry for days. So yeah, it's a great pick. Anyone else? Game night.
I actually did think about it, but I haven't seen it enough to really talk about it, so I didn't put it on my list because of that.
Carly, any thoughts?
Fun rewatch.
I really love it. It's one of my favorite comedies, so I think picking them is really cool. I can oh no, her delivery of "oh no, he died" that lives in my head. She's so hot in this film, and their dynamic is so much fun. They bounce off each other so well. So this was not anywhere on my list, but I think it's a great pick.
All right. Cool. Let's move on then. Stacy, what's gonna be your next pick? I'm struggling to figure out mine, so you can take as long as you want.
No, again, I've taken a lot of it's changed a lot in the past few minutes. So I have on my list, and I'm not gonna pick it, but from my favorite movie, the first couple I think of from my favorite movie is a couple of friends, just Sam and Frodo. Now, I thought about making a case for them because I do think couples don't have to be romantic to display. I mean, basically, their only thing they're lacking is sex. Like everything else about them is very much a couple.
And there's long nights in the caves
no,
and stuff.
I don't want to give the
know.
impression that I'm one of these people that thinks that they're secret. Like I don't. So I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to pick them and have them up there. But there is an actual couple that is a very great couple in these movies, and that would be Arwen and Aragorn. And I mean, she's willing to give up her immortality for him. Like, what is stronger than that in love? Like, she's basically saying, like, I'm willing to die. Like, I'm not going to die, and I will die, so I can be with you for one lifetime instead of living hundreds of lifetimes. And he tells her not to because he is willing to be alone rather than see her die. They're great, and they're beautiful. And I love them. And I love everything about the movie. So I had to pick the couple. I mean, they are the couple of Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think I have the same problem, but the same thought as you, whereas I think about a lot of the friendships and like I think of the brotherly relationships and stuff first, to where like this is never at the forefront of the mind when watching it, but when it happens in the movie, I'm like, yeah, this is great. But it's just never like the moment for me, or the central, intrigue.
It's not, but he like it's subtly underneath a lot of things because of how it influences Elrond and all of those politics kind of, and him kind of growing up at Rivendell to some extent. So I think like even though it's not the forefront of the movies that much, it is kind of influencing things along the way.
Yeah. Cool. Any other thoughts on Arwen and Aragorn from Lord of the Rings?
Well, I mean, my thoughts of that is I thought about them. I didn't put them on my list, but then I said Stacy's totally picking them. So I was definitely right. I was like, that's totally like a Stacy pick, or maybe a Dylan pick. I don't know. Because he also loves those movies. But and I do as well. Just maybe not on the same level. But yeah, I thought about them, but it's just they haven't really been for me like that influential. But I totally get it. I love those romance scenes between them, and yeah, I think it really works.
Cool. Any other thoughts? Cool.
Good pick.
Yeah, good pick. All right, cool. I don't know what to do. I'm not gonna pick another Disney because I feel like I don't want to be too Disney heavy. I might round it out with some Disney, but also Nina might snipe some. But I'm gonna go for one that I think is one of those couples that, like, it's not, the movie's not a romance, and the couples are not necessarily known for being with one another. I mean, they are, but they're more iconic on their own. But I think the fact that they are a couple really helps, especially in the sequels, really emphasize the power of these movies. And that is a very controversial series, but it is Neo and Trinity from the Matrix series. And I think I actually re-listened to shout out Blake Check podcast with Griffin and Griffin Newman and David Sims, their Matrix Resurrections episode, because it is so interesting to hear them talk about just the role that Neo and Trinity play in each film in terms of the context of the Wachowskis and their own personal life. Like both Wachowskis lost their parents, I believe, within the same span of a year, when they weren't really working. They were mid-transition or post-transition or even like on the brink of transitioning. And it was just like their life was literally at the lowest it could be. And their like close friend had died as well. And like the people they would go to talk about loss and grief with were the people who they were losing. So it was like one of those things where they had to go to the characters to basically find that comfort and that solace, and their relationship is what spurred this kind of almost therapeutic kind of safe haven for Lily and Lana Wachowski, and especially I believe it was Lana who made the fourth film, correct? I don't remember which one, but she decided to do the movie because she said, I just need to be with these characters again because their love is what keeps me going. And I think that's just so beautiful. And whether or not you necessarily get all that from the film without the context, I'm not sure, but I think knowing that context, you just see how important these characters are to the creators. And I think that love is shown, and that love between them is so important because it's all about machine versus man and that whole idea and that concept. And I think their love being such a beautiful, shining, quite literal rainbow in that last film of love, And there's also that symbolic, trans allegory also with that. But, just the idea of their love casting this rainbow over this world that they've created is such a beautiful thing. Every movie hinges on their relationship, even though they do shine on their own. They're badasses on their own. It's always about them and their connection, and that is kind of what balances The Matrix, which I think is just so profound and beautiful. And I think anyone who didn't like that last film, really, I highly consider listening to that podcast, but then watching it again with the lens of seeing this as kind of her own exploration with grief through these characters, and I think you can get a lot of it. But I really love this couple, and I love it more with each film as well, which you can't say about the quality of the films. I think the second one's my favorite, but I do think the third one's not that great, but their relationship keeps it strong. It keeps it going throughout. So Neo and Trinity, The Matrix. Nina, I know you haven't seen these movies, right? The Matrix movies.
I saw one.
The first one?
The first
Okay.
one. Yeah, in film class, but
Nice. Do you like Neo and Trinity?
yeah.
Okay. Cool. Any yeah, go ahead. Nina, you were saying something? No?
What? Oh, I said kind of. It was a long time ago.
Gotcha. Yeah, I didn't even know you'd seen it. That's cool. Any other? I know, Carly, you're a big fan of the Wachowskis. What are your thoughts on Neo and Trinity?
I've actually only seen the first Matrix film.
Oh, cool.
I've heard mixed things about the sequel, so I wasn't super eager to check them out. But I mean,
watch the second one; it's so good.
Okay, I'll watch the second Matrix one at least. But they're hot, so good pick.
Yeah, they have that chemistry, that Riz,
Yeah.
as we talked about. Chad, any thoughts on Neo and Trinity?
Yeah, I mean, I disagree a little bit. I like the sequels, but honestly, I think you only need the first one. I think that one's a masterpiece, and the others are them trying to expand on them like worlds, and it's all right. But I do think that first one's pretty great. But yeah, I do think it's a good couple. I love both of them just individually as characters. And then, as a couple, it works too. Like I think the sequels, I think work more when you are invested in the relationship and stuff like that. So yeah, so there's that for sure. So yeah, it's a good pick. I've definitely seen it on lists. So it's high up there. Yeah.
Stacy?
Yeah, it was another case of I just didn't feel like I could really talk about it, so I didn't put it on my list because it has been such a long time since I've seen the first three. And even though I've seen them more than once, their interactions just don't stick out enough in my mind for me to really talk about. So, but from what I do remember, they're another pretty balanced couple that is, there's no damsel in distress there. They're both kind of badasses helping each other out. And I always like that.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Carly, you're up. Round 4, pick 4. What's going to be your pick?
Okay. So I was going to pick a lesser known one, but I'll just shout that on the honorable mentions because I really love these two kids. So I'm going to pick Peter and Laura Jean from the To All the Boys I've Loved Before trilogy.
Oh, okay.
They're so cute. I remember when this came out and I just absolutely loved it. Fake dating is just such a cute trope, and it's always so funny, and it brings up the most fun situations. And I just love how there's this trilogy of like just teen romance. Like there's no vampires, there's no werewolf. It's just, these two teens trying to figure it out and fall in love. I just think they're really cute. The first movie is definitely my favorite, but I think all three are pretty solid. Like they're cute in all of them. I really love Lana Condor, and I'm blanking on the guy's name, but
Noah Centineo.
Yes. I think they're really great. I think their chemistry is really good. Like their scenes together are cool. I think it's awesome having an Asian woman as like the lead, because I know you don't see that super often. And I just think that's really cute. Like I'm sad we haven't seen Lana Condor as much, because I really liked her in those movies. So I'm hoping she'll pop up in more stuff later on. But
she was in Ruby Gillman Teenage Kraken was her most recent.
Oh.
Yeah, we need to get her agent on the phone and get her better jobs. But that's a great pick. What I love about that trilogy is that they don't try to cram everything into one movie. They make it like the first movie is about them getting together. The second movie is about the love triangle, what happens when there's another love interest. The third one is about what happens when one has to go to college. Like, it's like they don't try to cram it all into one movie like some others would, where it's like, let's tackle every teenage issue. You know, it's not. It's like every movie has its own issue to kind of sort out, and it's really only focused on that issue with that, which I like. I personally don't like No Centineo very much, so I've just never been a big fan of this relationship, but I like the movies because I like her character a lot. So, Nina, have you seen the To All the Boys trilogy?
I have not, but I've read the books.
Oh, so do you like this couple?
I do, yeah. It was going to be on my list if I saw the movies, but because I didn't, I just didn't put it on. But good couple.
Yeah. Stacy, have you seen these?
I have, and it was just another case of I haven't seen it enough to feel like I could talk. Romance, I don't remember romance well, okay? I don't know what it is, but I don't like rom-coms and romance movies unless I've seen them over and over and over again because I absolutely adore them. I just don't remember them that well. So I didn't feel like I could talk about it.
It's okay.
But I did like them. I do remember liking them.
Chad, any thoughts on Peter and Lara Jean?
These are blind spots. Haven't seen them. Unfortunately.
Right. Yeah. So to all the movies Chad's watched before, these are the three that stood by. But that's fine. Chad, I feel like you're probably you would say you're the most well watched of the five of us. So it's okay if you haven't seen everything. Like this is your exception to the rule. Because you don't know how many draft days I've just been like, no comment because I just haven't seen everything. But Nina, you're gonna round us out now. Your final two picks. Excited to see what you pick. Nervous because I'm sure we have some overlap just because we grew up on the same movies, but hit us with it. What's your fourth pick?
Okay, my fourth one. So I was in the show version of this. I totally forgot it was a movie, but it was a movie I think before it was a musical. And it's also another young love. And I'm just going to say it. It's Jessie and Winnie from Tuck Everlasting.
Oh, okay.
I just think that it's a very old movie, and I actually looked it up, and it's Disney, so I didn't know that. But
I just the 80s or 90s. I don't know.
Yeah,
it might be older.
I just think the story is just something that is just so, I guess, special and very bittersweet. You know, Jessie and Winnie's love, and just Winnie having to decide like if she should just live a full life and pass away at an old age or drink from the spring and stay with Jessie. And I think it's just one of those stories that's so special. And I don't know, I just, even being in the show of it, like it's one of those relationships that it's just a fun relationship because they go on adventures together, but also it's kind of sad because at the end, well, I'm not going to spoil it, but the ending is very sad, but it's
right.
A young love, and I really like that.
Yeah, and it's interesting because it's kind of like the vampire thing of like, and I'm not gonna tip picks obviously, and one major one's a television series, so it doesn't matter. But like with vampire romance, it's like very clearly one is not a vampire, but the other's a vampire. So the vampires lived hundreds of years, but in that age, in that body, it's a Peter Pan thing. Like that's just a very interesting dynamic, and to see it play out in a romance between like two younger people is very interesting too, because of that moral dilemma that happens of do you want to live an endless entire life of you being the same age as this person, or do you want to live a full life even though it's not as long? Like what is a long life versus a full life, which I think is a very interesting dilemma, and you were great in that show, by the way, Dean. But yeah, that's a great pick. There actually is a version from the 80s and a Disney movie in 2002, so that is old to you because it was a year before you were born, but that is not old for the rest of us. But it is an old movie, quote unquote. Tuck Everlasting, though. Tuck and Jessie and Winnie, right? His name's not Tuck, his last name's Tuck, correct?
Yeah, Jessie and Winnie.
Jesse and Winnie. Has anyone, I mean, some of us might have read the book or seen the show, but has anyone seen the movie Tuck Everlasting? Yes, Stacey?
I don't know. I think I probably did at one point. I know that it was required reading, or maybe it was like on a summer list when I was in school, the book. I don't think I read it, but I think I was supposed to.
Yeah, I mean,
So I really am not sure about anything. I don't know why I'm talking right
I
now.
mean, this is a stacked cast. So I'm reading it. Alexis Bledel plays Winnie Foster from Gilmore Girls. Then you have William Hurt in this thing. Sissy Spacek. Ben Kingsley is the man in the yellow suit. He plays the villain. Amy Irving. Victor Garber. Who this is the second Victor Garber movie Nina's picked next to Titanic. But it's a great cast. I want to watch this movie now because I love the show. I love the book. And I love just the overall story and messaging. It's like it's more of a romantic Peter Pan in a way, you know.
Mm-hmm. I think maybe I did actually read it when I was supposed to. I can picture the book cover, so I must have looked at it quite a bit.
Yeah. Any thoughts, Carly or Chad?
No. It sounds cute though. I'll probably watch it.
Yeah.
Not sure.
Okay.
I can't remember if I actually saw it or not.
Gotcha. Cool. So Nina, let's. I was trying to find an everlasting joke to make. Anyway, fifth pick, Nina. Go ahead. Make your draft everlasting with great picks. I don't know.
All right, this is another Disney movie. I just had to pick this one because it's my second favorite Disney movie besides Tangled.
Mm-hmm.
But it's Jack and Sally from Nightmare Before Christmas.
Sweet.
Yeah. I think it's just because I love Sally so much, but also I love the movie so much, and just these two characters are just so iconic and just one of my favorite Disney couples. Yeah, I don't know what it is about them. I love them.
It's kind of the Gomez Morticia thing. They're a little kooky, a little off, and that's what endears people, like all of us, to them, you know, because we're also a little kooky, a little crazy, a little Halloween spirited. You know, we're all Halloween fans here, right? I think, yeah. So yeah, we love it. Yeah. Any thoughts on Jack and Sally? The third Jack. I mean, Jack is a famous name today. Titanic, Brokeback Mountain, and now Nightmare Before Christmas. A lot of Jacks.
I almost wore a Jack and Sally shirt tonight, but it was long sleeved, and I get hot sometimes, and I didn't want to be hot. Yeah, but I think they're adorable. I think that Sally is so just selfless when it comes to Jack, and the whole movie you're waiting for him to kind of realize it, that she's doing all this stuff, and that like he would not get where he gets without her, and he does, thank God, finally realize it, so you cannot, be mad at him forever. But no, they're really cute. I think it's a good pick.
Chad?
Yeah, I'm iconic for sure. Great characters. I love the voice actors, Catherine O'Hara especially. There's not a lot more to say. They're just so iconic that it's everything's been said.
Yeah, Carly.
Yeah, I like the out of the box pick. They look good together with their old creepy vibe.
They wouldn't look good with any of the other people on your draft.
Well, it's kind of like the Addams family.
So hot.
Yeah, like I don't think Lloyd from Say Anything would pair well with Sally. So yeah, I think they're definitely meant to be together. If you lined up all 50 of these people together, yeah, great. Carly, you're up. Okay. Spooky pick into Carly's spooky pick.
All right. I mean, kind of. So it's
not
time
say
for
your
my
pick's
weird.
Spooky. All your picks are spooky, regardless of the genre of movie you're thinking
That's true.
Just because it's
so it's time for my weird pick.
Oh,
so I haven't really picked
weird
any,
this round.
I haven't picked any romance that's queer, and this could be argued to be queer. So I am picking. I haven't watched this movie in a bit, but I'm picking Elisa and Amphibian Man from Shape of Water.
Oh, right.
I thought I'd be the only one with that on my list.
I didn't even think of that. Wait, oh my God, that's great.
It was on a lot of lists that I was looking at. Yeah.
Really? Wow, that is such an outside the box. I never thought of that. That's awesome.
Yeah. When I thought of this, I was like, okay, this is gonna be my last pick. This has to be my last pick. There are so few monster-human relationships, so I needed to represent the monster-human representation on our lists. So I picked her and Amphibian Man, and like part of it's because it's kind of funny to pick a monster fucker and a monster, but another part of it is their love is very sweet. Like I love how they fall in love without words. Like their dynamic is just completely nonverbal, and I think that's so cool, showing that you don't need words to connect to someone. Like I think it does really well with that disability representation. Like, I think their dynamic is really sweet. And I like when movies kind of end bittersweet kind of way. I mean, it's technically a happy ending, but like now she's an amphibian woman.
Mhm.
So it's just really interesting. I really like their dynamic, and I thought it'd be fun to round out my draft board with her and Amphibian Man.
Yeah, I'm looking now. I'm like, I guess I gotta find something kind of a little monstrous and weird now for this round, just because that seems to be the theme. I did pick 2 computer programs in the last round, so, but yeah, great pick. I mean, this is such an outside the box pick. I didn't even think of this one, but yeah, like she loves this fish man, and that's love.
Yeah.
Cool. That's all I have to say. It's great.
As I said, I do have this on my list. I don't know why I thought I'd be the only one, because I should have thought that Carly might have it. This is one of the few movies that I just love this relationship so much. Like, going into it, I did not think the movie would make me root for them to be together. Like, I just didn't. You don't think that. You don't think you're gonna root for her to end up with the amphibian man, but you do. Like, and it's so pure, and it is. They are a great couple.
He doesn't even talk. I mean, that's the best couple there is. You
I know.
Argue.
They don't talk. They're different species.
Not
like
quarrel. Like,
no. But yeah, no, you really root for them. I mean, at least I did, and I felt weird about it sometimes. I was like, am I really rooting for her to fuck this fish dude? Like, what? But I was. So yeah, the movie's very effective in being a romance between an amphibian man and a woman.
Yeah, I also love the dream sequence where they literally do like a full song and dance number.
Yeah.
I'm not forgetting, right? That actually happens. Okay.
No, that actually happens.
I feel like I might have made it up in my brain, but it actually happens. Any other thoughts on the fish? Chad, you have a weight in here.
Yeah. It's definitely a weird off the wall pick, but it's a weird off the wall movie that happened to win Best Picture, and then people are like, "What the? Okay, cool." So yeah, and it's. I think Carly definitely explained it well, why it works so well. It's just a different kind of relationship that say. I love the Dylan hit. I was going to talk about the dance sequence, but Dylan hit on it, and then I also love like the fact that she like floods her bathroom so that she can swim with him. I think is a really cool like moment in the movie. There's a little bit of an asterisk that I put next to this one though for me, because the monster kills a cat and that's unforgivable. So I kind of hate the monster. Like, fuck that guy.
Yeah. Nina, have you seen the movie Shape of Water or no?
I've heard about it. I just looked it up. Amphibian Man looks fun.
Yeah. It's a good one. That's one we can watch. I think we'd have a fun time with that. Cool. All right. I got to keep up the trend now. I got to do it. I have lists of great couples that I'll list in my honorable mentions, but to keep with the spirit of getting a little weird, a little beastly here, I'm picking another Disney one just because it is high on my list, and it's one that if Nina had picked Tangled, I would have picked this one as my Disney princess couple, but it's here in the 5th round. It is kind of a monster and a person. I'm picking Prince Adam and Belle from Beauty and the Beast, just because it's an iconic couple. There's literally a song about them, like literally called Beauty and the Beast. So, and the movie's called Beauty and the Beast. It's literally about the couple, and that's like it. I know the complaints of like the whole like Stockholm syndrome thing, like that is a thing, but I think there's an arc, and there's a real arc. It's one of those things that you see in a lot of. I mean, it's essentially the only enemies to lovers I have on the list too, which I think is important too, because that is such a good trope when two people hate each other and then they learn to love each other through their differences. It's something we see in well, I'm not going to tip picks for the TV draft, but like there's just a lot of great couples out there that just like stem out of hatred and then ends up finding this weird connection, and I love it. So yeah, Belle and I guess you could say Beast, but he has a name, guys. It's Prince Adam, which I don't think many people know that. Yeah, it's sad at Disney World, Stacy, that you have to meet him as the Beast. Like he transforms, and then the same with Rapunzel. Like you have to meet her with long hair. It's like continuity, y'all. I get it, but yeah, Belle and Prince Adam. There's not much else to say. It's the tale as old as time. It's a song as old as rhyme. It is Beauty and the Beast. Nina, any thoughts on this other Disney pick? We picked a lot of Disney, but was Belle and Beast on your list?
This was in my honorable mentions. It's just another iconic duo in Disney, and I love them. Great movie and story between them. And I just like the idea of, people who are enemies but learn to love. And yeah.
Yeah, and I will say I also get them for Belle's Enchanted Christmas too, technically. So I'm winning on that too. I'm riding high on that. Not the remake though. That is not part of this. Anyway, any other thoughts on Belle and Prince Adam, or Belle and the Beast?
I would say I've heard arguments against being Stockholm Syndrome, so it's not like it's necessarily for sure that, like, I've heard people argue against it. I'm not, my brain's too tired to actually remember what they said, but yeah, they're adorable. Like, they're very cute, and yeah, I really love them together. I love the animation of it is hard to separate from it. Like, just that ballroom scene is just so stunning. Like the music, oh my gosh, like it's a really fantastic. I think it's a great pick.
Like Romeo and Juliet. Sorry, we're almost done, right? Sorry.
Oh man, that was Chad's pick.
Sorry. But like them, this story has been done to death.
Right.
Tons and tons and tons of versions across mediums. And the Disney one is, in my mind, the one that I always think of. Like when I think of Beauty and the Beast, it's the one I go to. I think it's the one most people go to. I think it's the most fun and accessible version of the story. And it's got great music, and it's got Chip, who I love, that cute little cup. I don't know what it is, but I love that cute little cup who's not tired, mama. So yeah, I like it.
Yeah, and they got great friends. Like, that's the thing. We're talking about the couples, but you got to think, if you're going to Thanksgiving at this couple's house, like, they're bringing some good ass food and good friends. Whereas I'd love to see Elisa and the Fishman's Thanksgiving table. A lot of eggs, I imagine. Hard-boiled eggs. Chad, any thoughts on Belle et la Bête?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, aw, what a great meet cute. She doesn't want to be with you. Throw her in her fucking cage. It'll work out. No, I do think it's very sweet in the long run, and I do like how she changes him and stuff, and everyone thinks she's weird, and he doesn't, I guess, right? So yeah, it is one of the most iconic relationships, and yeah, that movie was nominated for Best Picture, and it's an animated film.
Yeah,
hell
so we
yeah!
got 2 of those on this draft already, Up and Beauty and the Beast. Maybe we'll get the third. We still have 2 picks left. We'll see. Definitely an honorable mention. Yeah, it is the first one ever nominated for Best Picture as an animated film. Very iconic. So moving on to Stacy, are you gonna keep it weird, or you going somewhere?
Well, I mean, I kind of started weird, right? Like, I'd like to keep it weird, but I'm having
go with your heart.
I'm having a really hard time deciding. I'm not gonna lie. I think there's one I guess I have to do, because it has to be here, and it was my first favorite epic romance. And it's a problematic one. It's kind of what I thought you were going to go with earlier. And yes, it is Rhett and Scarlett and Gone with the Wind. And here's the thing: they're a horrible couple. Like, they're so complicated, but that's kind of what is great about them. Like, the whole, I mean, I don't know. I know you probably guys have watched it for Picture This. But it's kind of realistic in that it's like the timing is always off, and she's always like obsessed with this guy because he's like the only guy in the world she knows that she can't have, and because of that she's in love with him the whole time. But her and Red are so perfect for each other, and she just doesn't see it yet, because it takes place when it does. She marries him anyway because she has to marry somebody. And he's pretty relentless, and they do have like chemistry, and she does, like, she likes him the whole time. Like, he knows it and the audience knows it. She just doesn't know it until she blows it. And I love how it ends. It's one of my favorite endings in all of cinema, with, the frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn, and he walks out on her, and it's just like I said, the timing doesn't ever line up for them. But also they're like horrible. Like she's kind of horrible to him a lot of the times. And they're not an example of a healthy couple whatsoever. So I teetered a lot on whether or not to put them on this list, but I think it's good to have representation of complicated and, you know, in a lot of ways realistic couples. And unfortunately, their on again, off again, push and pull situation is quite realistic still today.
Yeah.
There's a lot of other ones I really wanted to go with too, but I felt like they had to be on the list. They have to be.
It's an iconic one, and yeah, like I coming from the guy who drafted Bonnie and Clyde first. Like sometimes the dysfunctional romances are the most interesting to watch, and I think there's something to be said about a couple we endorse versus one we just watch and kind of examine. You know, examination versus endorsement.
I mean, he's such a cad. Like, I mean, she's like. Yeah. They're two peas in a pod, really. Like they belong together. They just never see that at the same time.
Yeah. Chad and I famously didn't love this movie when we covered on Picture This, but I understand why people do, and it is a classic. It is one of the most gorgeously made movies for sure. Just looks phenomenal, especially for the time period. It's honestly kind of mind-blowing how good it looks for 1939. That and The Wizard of Oz, but which didn't have any couples really, because the only couple you can pull is from the Broadway musical Wicked. So, but it is just such a beautiful film to look at. It's just I'm not as engaged in the romance of the couples, but that line is so iconic. The ending and just the tumultuous nature of it is very engaging still. So all problematic stuff aside, like it's an iconic one for a reason, I think. So there's a reason I have a big Blu-ray of it. You know,
she's not great to him. I love Scarlett as a strong woman character, even though she's not necessarily a good wife.
Right. She is not the good wife. Starring Juliana Margulies. Chad, any thoughts on this one? I know we've talked on Picture This about it, but
well, I do want to push back. The Wizard of Oz does have a couple. You have Uncle Henry and Aunt Em.
Oh yeah. Sorry if I tipped your pick there, Chad.
Yeah, like you said, I didn't love this movie just because of like the context of how it was made, and it's just a very of its time movie. The relationship but between them, though, I don't have too many thoughts on. I think Stacy's seen it way more times than I have. It's one that I actually want to go back and revisit at some point just to see if I have more thoughts on it. I did like Scarlett like as a character, I think overall, and I really like the like her outfits and like you said, like a lot of the technical stuff and how it was made, I think is something that you really can't ignore. But the relationship itself, I like a complex relationship, so I think it's a good pick overall, but not a movie I love it, but that I want to revisit at some point just to see if I can like the relationship more.
Yeah, any thoughts, Carly or Nina, on Rhett and Scarlett from Gone with the Wind? I always want to say that with a twang.
I haven't seen it, but I do love Stacy picking a messy couple. This is reflected more in my favorite TV couples than my movie couples, but I love like a twisted, complicated, unhealthy dynamic because I mean it's fun to watch. Like if you can separate what should be from just what's fun to watch, then those are my favorite relationships to watch play out.
You should watch Gone with the Wind then.
Nina, have you seen Gone with the Wind? Or
I've not, no, but it sounds really interesting.
Yeah, would you have picked Aunt Em and Uncle Henry? Are they on your honorable mentions?
No.
Yeah, Nina and I were talking before. We're like, there's nothing for the Wizard of Oz. We were saying, I mean, like technically the Wicked Witch of the West and the Scarecrow, but I mean, I haven't seen Wicked. That you don't know that context, So, all right.
Well, also the Wicked Witch and Glinda. Just saying.
Oh, yeah, true. Maybe some frenemy to lover to I don't know. Another story for another day. Chad, round out this draft, the Mr. Relevant pick. What's it gonna be?
Well, I had one that was on my list for like a while that I'm not like crazy passionate about, but I was gonna go on there because it might be one that a lot of people thought that I might have picked at some point. But then I thought about another one that it's kind of like the whole elf pick that Nina did earlier that I was like, what? why didn't I think of that? This one came into my head like round 4, and I was like, oh no, I should have already picked this one. And it's one that if I didn't even think it would be on anybody's radar, but then I was like holding my breath the entire round every time someone was about to pick something, and they'd go like, I'm gonna pick Disney, and I was like, thank God, okay, this isn't Disney.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited I get to pick it now because it's one that I love, and it's kind of like the Jack and Diane, Lloyd and Diane, sorry, thing where I had John Mellencamp on
Yeah,
the
no,
brain.
I guess. I almost started thinking.
The Lloyd and Diane thing. It's a little bit like that, where I think it's like they're perfect for each other, and they're just trying to kind of find each other, and they don't really get to really reveal that love in its purest form until the end of the movie. And I'm picking from The Wedding Singer, Robbie Hart and Julia. When you had Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore come together for the first time, like the stars aligns. Like these two actors in movies just have so much chemistry. In fact, they've done it like time and time again with 50 First Dates and then Blended. And even though Blended's not great, I feel like, every time they're on screen together, they just work because they're great friends. And then, in the films, I think they just like really work together, especially in The Wedding Singer. I think it's the best example of it. It is one where they're both kind of, lost. He was dumped at the altar, and then by Linda. And then after that, Julia is in this what do you call it? Engagement where Glenn is a piece of shit, and he cheats on her. He's just mean. Like he does the thing where it's like she doesn't want to be on the aisle because the cart always bumps her elbows, and then basically he just does it again. It's like, do you mind if I have the window seat, kind of a deal. So he's never putting her first. And then but with Robbie and Julia, they come together and you can see just how much they care about each other, like as kind of friends at first and just kind of meeting each other and joking around. But then, towards the end, you really do see, and then he has that very special song and like a whole thing, like he gets Billy Idol to help him do this whole thing to stop Glenn and Julia from going to their wedding or whatever. And he sings that beautiful song where it's I want to grow old with you. And it's such a sweet moment in the movie, and they come together and it's just a really, really beautiful thing, and you really just want to see them grow old together. And that's kind of like what we all want, I think. So yeah, it's beautiful. I love it. I'm glad that I thought of it because I would have kicked myself if I hadn't.
I went this whole draft being like, I've seen it. Finally, I've seen all the movies, and now you hit me with The Wedding Singer, which is just one of my biggest blind spots.
Wow.
For my Dyl hasn't seen this podcast next month. I think I'm gonna have to watch it. It's long overdue.
And that was a musical too, so I'm surprised you haven't.
I've seen the musical.
Oh, okay.
So I like the couple. I enjoy the couple. A shout out to past, present, and future guest of the show, Rachel Love, Zach's wife, who played what's the name of the wife he's with before, or the girl he's with before?
Linda,
who played Linda in Wedding Singer. Was
Linda's a bitch.
Terrific. Yeah, she played the bitch so well. Rachel is not, but she played it so well. And then shout out to Kelsey, who played Julia in a production a few years ago.
Wow.
I just have not seen it in the movie form, and I know it's such a great, like, beloved wedding Adam Sandler movie. And there are quite many of those, and I've seen most of them. But yeah, blind spot for me. Yeah, anyone seen The Wedding Singer? Want to talk about it? Because I wish I could.
I've definitely seen The Wedding Singer multiple times, but not in quite a long time. One of my best friends, her favorite like movie couple period is just Drew Barrymore and Adam Sandler paired together in anything.
Yeah.
And so I did think of The Wedding Singer because I think of all their pairings, this is the best couple that we get. I kind of forgot about it when I was making my like. I thought about it, and then later when I was actually writing things down, I kind of forgot again. But also, I haven't seen The Wedding Singer in a very long time, but I mostly just remember him singing the song on the plane at the end. And that, they are good for each other, I think, which, is important for sometimes for there to be a good representation of a relationship in which people make each other better.
Mm-hmm.
But that's it.
Yeah. Carly, have you seen this one?
Yeah, I actually saw this a few weeks ago.
Really?
I think it's really cute. I love when you have a male character who is just really into romance and wants to fall in love, because I think that's kind of rare, and I think it's really awesome having a character. It's guys want to fall in love too. It's not just girls, and I like that representation. I think they're really cute. I always think it's fun when it's like, oh, you're with the wrong guy, and the whole movie is just showing you how wrong he is for you, and then they get together at the end with the song. It's very cute. It's a good pick.
Love it. Nina, have you seen The Wedding Singer?
I know the musical. I know the
Nice.
songs and stuff. I haven't seen the movie though.
Gotcha. Well, you'll be first up for honorable mentions in just a sec, but that is our draft, guys. We had a really good, solid draft board here. We had a lot of good themes between them. Like Nina picked a lot of holiday films, like Elf and Nightmare Before Christmas. Carly picked a lot of guys named Peter. I picked. I don't know what my congruity is necessarily, but Stacy picked a lot of mythical, fantasy stuff. And then Chad picked. What was I was gonna say. I had a really funny one for Chad's too, but I forgot it.
Rom-coms.
No, I had that. The whole bit was that it was going to lead to a punchline that I totally forgot. Damn, and I'm really upset. I'm really upset because I was totally going to and then Chad's. Oh man, it was a good one though. Anyway, here's a recap of what everyone picked. Maybe I'll come up with it later. Maybe I'll think of it. But Nina's draft board: Jack and Rose from Titanic, Ellie and Carl from Up, Buddy and Jovi from Elf, Jesse and Winnie from Tuck Everlasting, and Jack and Sally from Nightmare Before Christmas. Carly, Charlie and Harper from Set It Up, Peter and Gwen from Amazing Spider-Man, Selena and Bruce from The Batman, Peter and Lara Jean from To All the Boys That Loved Before, and Elisa and the Fishman from Shape of Water. Dylan, Bonnie and Clyde from Bonnie and Clyde, Celine and Jesse from the Before trilogy, Rapunzel and Flynn Rider, aka Eugene Fitzherbert from Tangled, Neo and Trinity from the Matrix series, Belle and Prince Adam, aka the Beast from Beauty and the Beast, Stacy, Gomez and Morticia Adams from the Addams Family, Christian and Satine from Moulin Rouge, Rick and Evelyn from The Mummy, Arwen and Aragorn from Lord of the Rings, Rhett and Scarlet from Gone with the Wind, and Chad, Peter Parker and MJ Watson from the Raimi Spider-Man trilogy, Lloyd and Diane from Say Anything, Jack and Ennis from Brokeback Mountain, Max and Annie from Game Night, and Robbie and Julia, The Wedding Singer. I remember what it was. 2 films that take place on, have iconic final scenes on planes. Say Anything and The Wedding Singer. That was what it was. And it was going to be one of those whoa, I can't believe you picked 2 movies that have planes. And I guess
Game Night has a plane too. Maybe not an iconic
Game
final scene, but Game Night does have a plane.
Well, I mean, he gets killed by the plane propeller. So yeah, and honestly, Brokeback Mountain, how did they get to the mountain,
Truck.
I'm just joshing.
Horses, I'm pretty sure.
All right, Nina, what are some honorable mentions you had here on this draft?
I have Danny and Sandy Grease was one of my next ones if the others got taken. Aladdin and Jasmine, Simba and Nala, Ken and Barbie, but from Toy Story.
Yes.
And that looks like it's it.
Cool. Carly, any honorable mentions?
Yeah, from The Duff, which was my underseen one that I really like, with Lee and Bianca, Han and Leia from Star Wars, the couple in Bound, whose names I'm forgetting, but God, I love Bound so much. The couple in Portrait of a Lady on Fire, which I would have picked, but I've talked about them before.
Yeah, that's why I didn't pick them either. Yeah.
Yep. The couple from The Handmaiden. Like I said, I like messed up dynamics, and that's a pretty complicated one. And Aladdin and Jasmine.
Yeah. I also had Aladdin and Jasmine. Wow, they were a hot commodity in these honorable mentions. A few chalk picks, which aren't chalk picks, they're great picks, but ones that I feel like people were expecting to get pick, but I think we all went with like passion over the populist picks. So I did consider like Rick and Elsa from Casablanca. I considered Han and Leia. I considered Ron and Hermione. I considered Katniss and Peeta, like a lot of the more popular ones. I considered Noah and Allie from The Notebook. Some more niche ones, Elizabeth and Will Turner from Pirates of the Caribbean. I love them. Joel and Clementine from Eternal Sunshine, even though they're not a couple, it's more about their breakup. They are a couple, but it's a weird stage of the relationship. They're not, I didn't count it for that reason. A Star is Born 2018, Jackson and Allie, some of the best chemistry you'll see in any film ever. Portrait of Lady on Fire. Indiana Jones and Marion from Raiders of the Lost Ark, really great couple there. When Harry Met Sally, Harry and Sally, but they spent so much of it as friends that I felt like there were just stronger couples on the list. Tony and Maria, West Side Story. Both iterations are great. Troy and Gabriella from High School Musical, even though I've talked about that franchise so much. Mia and Sebastian from La La Land. And then that's all my honorable mentions. Stacey, any honorable mentions?
Yeah, I actually have quite a bit. I have Adam and Eve from Only Lovers Left Alive, which I know nobody knows really. I also have Will and Elizabeth from Pirates of the Caribbean. That was one of the ones I was struggling with for a final pick. Another one I was struggling with was Steve Rogers and Peggy Carter from the entire MCU. Lestat and Louis, but they're never really quite a romantic couple. Also, they're very problematic. Alabama and Clarence from True Romance, which I just noticed. That was my one other one I wish I could get in there. I love Alabama and Clarence. Kat and Patrick from 10 Things I Hate About You, my favorite rom-com. Evelyn and Wayman from Everything Everywhere All at Once. I think they are adorable. I also had Rick and Ilsa from Casablanca. I also had Joel and Clementine, Leia and Han, and Wesley and Buttercup from The Princess Bride.
Oh, yeah. Let's go. Chad, any honorable mentions?
Yeah, no, it was really just the only one that I was thinking about picking. Like the whole time I was going to pick Ron and Hermione, just because as I felt like it'd be great, I'm a big Harry Potter guy. But then for me, I was just sitting there thinking, I was like, I don't always really love that couple just in general. Like I'm more into the Harry Hermione like platonic love than I am with the relationship between.
I really want a friends draft.
Yeah, we need a platonic friends draft for sure. I was gonna do it, and then had I not thought about the Wedding Singer, I would have, and it would have been a great pick either way, because I do think they're very sweet. I love how they start out as friends and then become something else later. I like my draft as is.
Yeah, everyone's drafts are great. I mean, I have a tough time deciding between all of them. So that's always fun. Usually there's one that I'm like, I think this is the clear front runner, but I don't think there is one here. Cool. So let's really quickly go around and do some plugs since we have a little time. Nina, where can they find you? Anything you want to plug? Your Instagram, TikTok, anything like that?
Sure. My Instagram is Nina Randazzo _official, and my TikTok is Nina.Randazzo. I do like beauty and fashion content over on there, so check it out.
Cool. Thanks for being on, as always. Thanks for jumping in and doing this. I know this is not necessarily your wheelhouse, so thank you. You had quite some heavy hitters, especially at the top of your board there, and then some personal picks, which I loved as well. And you got to show off all the Leo merch you have, which is awesome. Yeah. So thank you, Nina. Carly, anything you got to plug?
Well, you'll see me on the subathon, so that'll be fun. I'm very excited.
Yes, you'll have 24 hours to plug. Don't worry. Chad, anything to plug?
I'm also excited for the subathon. More drafts and stuff to come. Great Picture This episode. Where Picture This, if you haven't seen it on this very channel, where we're on a mission to watch every Best Picture nominee that is available. Some of them aren't, or at least one of them isn't. It's going to be 1982. So any big like ET fans, or if you really love Gandhi, there you go.
All you Gandhi stands out
there.
We're gonna get all the Gandhi diehards. Like, that's how we're gonna get them.
But check out that stuff and all the other great stuff on this channel, and then check out it's now its own channel, Welcome to Primetime. But it's just a show that we've done on the Nerd Entertainment Network. So I think there's like a lot of like older episodes there, and then some on like the newer channel. We're still trying to figure it out, but we do a lot of horror stuff there. We do reviews. We do rankings and brackets, and we talk about Buffy the Vampire Slayer a lot because we got my buddy Hunter into the show, and we've had a lot of great discussions about horror films and Buffy, over there. And then check out my channel. Sometimes I forget to plug it. It's just called Chadwick Webb, and I just rank stuff a lot with a bunch of people. The show there is called You Ranking With Me, and we have a lot of great times ranking just franchises, directors, really things that would just be really fun to rank, and so many episodes that you can catch. And if you love the Disney, we did a really long Disney one, and that was really fun. All the Disney movies. So that's about it.
Cool. Stacy, anything to plug?
Well, I might pop up on the subathon, and I may be debuting on a show on this channel that I've never been on before. So I will let you guys keep an eye out for that.
Maybe about a little birdie told me what that might be. Get it? I guess I could say it. Stacy will be. We already said it on our Leprechaun episode. Stacey
okay. I didn't know if you already said it or
Matt
not.
and I on Frame Rate. So it's very exciting. The Raven, which I'm gonna watch it right now. So thanks so much for watching, guys out there. Vote. The Facebook poll should be open at the time this is airing. A nice 2-hour episode here for you. There are going to be 2 drafts on the subathon. So if you're been craving it the past few months on this hiatus, do not worry, you're going to eat your fill. And then sometime in May or June, we are also going to be doing the Sondheim draft, which was supposed to be in March. And so basically, this was the February draft. Sondheim draft was March. The April draft was TV themes. And then the subathon draft was going to be the director roulette. So we're putting 2 drafts, director roulette and TV themes, on the subathon. This is airing now, and then Sondheim will come sometime in May or June. So we're going to catch up for lost time there with 4 drafts in a month. It's going to be great. And then we'll continue on as planned in June and onward. So thanks so much for watching. Stay cool, keep drafting things, and go Giants, because you had an amazing draft this past weekend. Yay. Bye.